Hello, my name is Greg, Director of eCFO. Just here to give a quick demonstration on analysing financial statements with AI. I'm going to use these sample financials I found online from a sample company, Caseware, a toy manufacturer, and I've uploaded those into Gemini. This is a gem that I've created beforehand. I'll give you a brief look at the prompt in a moment. And importantly, I want to use the canvas option before I click the go button. So I've created the prompt before, I reuse this a bit, and I'm just going to Canvas 2.5 Pro. It probably doesn't matter, but I'm using Pro anyway. And let's see how we go with that to see what it spits out first. And then I'll show you how it might look when you're finished with it, say on a web page, or you may not even print a website. Just the HTML output is handy for your intuition to analyze or look at it even internally. Anyhow, so the first thing it's going to do is just produce a report. It should in the financial statements. Shouldn't take a whole long time. And you can go ahead and ask it the questions if you need to, which oftentimes you probably will. I will sometimes also upload not just one file, but multiple. So if I've got a few years worth of clients' data, I might input 25, 24, 23, 22, just to give a longer term view of things. So this is designed as an internal report. And so when I show the prompt, you'll see what I mean and why it does that. Essentially, here's our overview and what's happening in year-on-year change and the rest of it. So it looks, it's having a fair look at it. And I've also told it to look at ATO benchmarks. That's part of the prompt I've told it to do. Look at the benchmarks for this industry that it's in. So that's part of the reason it took a little bit of a while to go ahead and do that. And okay, so that's your basic report. I'm not going to go through it over and over, but I'd say, well, you would, but just for the sake of brevity, I'm not going to at the moment. I'm going to start off up here by going create and give me a web page on this one. And that's going to create another, in the canvas, will reproduce a web page. And then I'm going to, you can also with this in your prompt, you can tell it the style of web page you want. So if you're going to reproduce this all the time for various clients, for example, if you're an accountant and you're doing this on a consistent basis, you might want to have a consistent, at least vaguely consistent output style, whether it's for each client or for all clients. And so you build that into your prompt to say how you want that to be. That's going to be a more detailed prompt, but that doesn't really matter. Here we go, producing the HTML page now. It's quicker than I can code. And you can then take this and save it to your own machine if you like, which I've done, and I'll give you the demo up here in a moment. That's coming, so hang around for that. So we've got some recommendations it's giving us. JavaScript at the end of it, so it's almost done. Perhaps. There's some nice charts here too. Happy days, here we go. So there's our report for a toy manufacturer. It's giving us a nav bar at the top here, overview, benchmark analysis. This is all on the same page. No, it's not. This one's different to what I got there before. Looks even better. But anyway, this is where I think you might look at. Here's one I did on this very same set of financial statements. I did this a few days ago, and I got this style report. Right, so you can see the layout here is very different to what you've got over here. If you want the same layout, the same color scheme, the same type of use of the layout, then you need to tell it what you want. But here we go. So it's given us these bits for the overview, the benchmark analysis down, and I'm going to full screen. This would look a bit tidier, like this one does. But essentially, you can see here you've got the hover effect on all your charts, and it's analysis on the benchmarks, important, And then you've got recommendations, and we've got the interactive web page doing all that. That's all very pretty. You'd obviously want to review that very closely again in a real world example. And then we'll go back and say, let's go back to our report that we had from beforehand. And from the report, let's do an infographic. And infographic, in the other one I had infographic, I just built this into a site. I had another button put up here, basically I did. And this is what an infographic might look like. So it's like an overview, you might say, I guess. And on this one, it'll produce another one here for this one. I would think it would be in a similar style. So here, you might say the style here is similar, pretty similar style. The color schemes and the like. Again, you can modify your prompt to say how you want that to look. Here we go. Infographic. So it's a separate page is doing. The trick with an accountant sharing this with the client is how you do it securely. And sending a HTML page via email is not the best way of doing it. So you really want it behind a website, and doing that, you need it behind a secure site where the client has to log in to get to it. And that's, in a practical sense, the challenge, I think. There are ways around that, but that's another story for another day. But there's your infographic for this one. So we've got here the infographic. It's the base summary of things, and the web page we had from up here is there. So you could weld that into a simple 2-page website, similar to what I've done up here, where I've got saying dashboard infographic over here. And a real world example, I'd have that nav bar a bit tidier, where I've got it in one, and I'd not have this button bouncing around the place like it is at the moment. But that's sort of a bit of a rough demonstration of how that might look and what you can do with your financial statement analysis.